Before we get into the episode, I am thrilled to announce that the EntreMD Business School is open for enrollment. The EntreMD Business School is the only school of its kind for physicians who want to build 6, 7, and multiple 7-figure businesses. Over the last 2 years, we have had hundreds of doctors go through the school with unbelievable results. Some of them run brands, some of them run private practices, some of them are coaches, some have other kinds of service-based businesses or product-based businesses. And we've had people come in and cross the 6-figure milestone, cross the 7-figure milestone, cross the multiple 7-figure milestone. You will be in a place where you'll get the coaching, the community, the accountability that you need to thrive as an entrepreneur, especially in the times that we're in. So maybe you've been following me for a while. Maybe you've been getting so much out of the EntreMD podcast and you've been wondering, how can I work with Dr. Una and the community more? Well, this is your chance. Come join us in the EntreMD Business School. It is application only. So go to entremd.com/business to turn in your application. I cannot tell you how many doctors have made statements like this. I recovered my investment in the first week. I recovered my investment in my bank account in the first 90 days. This is the best investment I've made in myself ever. I want you to have that kind of story, not just a story of building a great business that serves a lot and earns a lot, but having a business that gives you the freedom to live life on your terms. So don't wait any longer. entremd.com/business. And now for the episode. Hi, docs. Welcome to the EntreMD Podcast, where it is all about helping amazing physicians just like you embrace entrepreneurship so you can have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on your terms. I'm your host, Dr. Una. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the EntreMD Podcast. I am so excited today. Well, I'm always excited, but super excited today because I have a very special guest on here. And I'm going to let her introduce herself. It is a super big treat. And what makes today so unique is we're going to get to talk about business. And we're going to get to talk about you, the business owner, keeping yourself in the best shape so you can thrive as an entrepreneur and in every other aspect of your life. So this is so good. So my guest is here, Dr. Ali, and she is the founder of Life Coaching for Women Physicians. Don't go anywhere, guys. This is the same principles both ways. Okay, but this is going to be so good. So Dr. Ali, I'm so happy to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is such a treat. And as always, I love talking with you. So I feel like we're out to lunch. So thank you for having me.
We're out to lunch and everybody gets to listen. So this is really good. So I'm going to give you a moment to introduce yourself to the audience, let them know what you do, which is very amazing, by the way. But
thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm Ali Novitsky, and I'm actually a neonatologist pediatrician, and I've been out of full-time clinical practice now for almost 5 years, actually. So I started my company almost 3 years ago, and at that point, I was doing a non-clinical job as a neonatologist, actually, and I caught the bug, and I decided, hey, listen, I'm going to help women physicians do what I didn't do. So basically I burned out. I burned out clinically. I burned out non-clinically. And then I discovered cognitive psychology, life coaching, and it changed my life. And, here I am. So essentially now my big focus is on helping women physicians really stay and achieve and stay as healthy as they can mentally and physically. And, besides that, I've gone down this entrepreneur path for about 3 years now, and I've made tons of mistakes, and it's been super fun, but I love it. And because of that, I do help to teach other coaches to do the same. So I'm kind of doing a couple of different things right now, but it's super fun. And every day I wake up and I'm like, how did I even get here? I don't know, but I'm going to keep going.
I love it. And that's the thing about entrepreneurship. It really is fun when it's aligned to something that's really important to you or something that you would consider your purpose and stuff like that. I find it very interesting that our stories are similar in the sense that we took something that we could have done for ourselves and now we help other people do it. So that's really good. A lot of times our businesses are things we solved for ourselves or things we're like, we should have solved that for ourselves. So that's really cool. So in your 3 years of being an entrepreneur, I want to find out from you before we get into the health piece of it. What are the top 3 lessons you learned as an entrepreneur? And I ask this question because sometimes when you're in the middle of your journey, at the end of your journey, people are like, you're different. And I think
Mm-hmm.
every entrepreneur is the same as anybody else. So I love to hear lessons, perspectives from entrepreneurs because it helps everybody else say, like, what? She did that? Okay, fine, I'm good.
I really love this question because it's, it can really, I think, speak to, as you mentioned, the person just starting off on their journey and then the person that's farther along. So I think it's such a great question, but I'll tell you what I would absolutely choose as my answers. So the first one is definitely to just start. Take action, just start. I really believe in this one, and I'll tell you why. So early on, I was buying every little course I could buy, and I was reading every little thing like, oh, this is how you get a lead magnet, and this is how you make a lead magnet, and this is how you deliver the lead magnet, and this is what you do. So I was, doing exactly what they told me. And the truth is, I could have just bought more courses and just kept reading how to do it. But if I didn't just do it, then I never would have started. So I think really, truly, it's just starting. So the truth is, physicians are really smart people and they can go on and they can go online and they could pretty much figure out how to run a business, online, right? Like just by Googling, let's just say. Obviously, okay, we're not going to promote that necessarily, but taking action, no matter what it is, even if it's something small, even if it's just getting yourself organized, like, okay, so, this is my week. This is how my week is going to be laid out. This is what I'm going to do during the week in order to accomplish my goals. I mean, that is part of being an entrepreneur. You have to create your own schedule and set it up for success. So taking some amount of action, just starting, I think is definitely number one.
So when you said that, I wrote something down. I said, oh, now I have a new term I can use. It's researchitis, right? Where you're
Uh-huh.
researching
Yep.
eternally, but not taking action. So what you're
Uh-huh.
saying is just take action, just start.
Totally. And the thing that's really cool is that wasn't obvious to me early on. It really wasn't. In fact, my coaching programs early on, I would say were very educational. Now in my coaching practice, I'm not as much about wanting to give people education as I'm wanting to help them take action. So this was an evolution in terms of even growing my own business, but also in how I help my clients. And so yes, it's researchitis. So I have one client and I'm totally going to call her out because I call Daisy out all the time. Daisy is amazing. And I literally talk about her a lot because she has had so many aha moments. But one of the things that she figured out is she's like, I subscribe to every podcast. I listen to every podcast. And so in other words, she finds all these things to keep learning and learning and learning. And basically
Oh
she would
my
just learn and learn and learn and
goodness.
learn and learn. And then she's like, but I'm not doing anything. And she realized that. And now she's completely taken a different view. And now she's taking action left and right. So yeah, I totally love researchitis. I think that's a perfect term.
Yeah, we'll say we coined it. We're the co-founders of the word researchitis.
That's so great.
And I love what you said about action because I kind of do what you were talking about as well, where even on the podcast, I want to leave everybody with a call to action. Like, this
Yeah.
is great. I'm glad you heard it. Do something. Right.
Yeah.
And, with my programs and all that, it's the same thing. I'm going to give you enough information for you to make a decision and take action and no more. Right. Like, that's
Uh-huh.
it. Just go do
Uh-huh.
something. So that's powerful. So I hope everybody got it and they're going like, okay, I'm going to be an action taker. So that's
Yeah.
number one. What's the second one?
Okay, the second one, and this is perfect timing because we're talking about this week in one of my groups, pausing. So first we're taking action, right? And we're going along. Okay, well, a lot of stuff's going to come up. I am a big fan of losing momentum. I really am. I'm like one of the people that's like, listen, losing momentum is the best thing that can possibly happen sometimes. And the reason why is when you pause, and we'll just call it losing momentum, right? It's not really losing momentum, but you're pausing. That's the evaluation point. So that's the point where you're saying, listen, what's working? What's not working? Where do I want to go? Where do I not want to go? And part of and you know this, part of the journey of becoming an entrepreneur is how does your business fit into your life, right? Because your business can become your life when you are your own boss and you're working for yourself. So that pause is going to protect you. I feel like that pause is your boundary. And it's saying, okay, listen, I have this internal momentum, right? But to protect me and to protect this business and to protect all the ones I love and to move forward, there has to be some stillness to evaluate. And I think that's so important. But as entrepreneurs, and you can tell me your thoughts, we don't want to do that because we're like, no, because I have to launch and I need a magnet and I have to get subscribers and I need a new program and I have to get this. And so that's uncomfortable, very uncomfortable, but I think it is so key. And that's why I put it for number 2.
I did not know you would say that, but that is so, that is so good. Right. And I like that you said your business can become your life, which is an abuse of a business, right? Or abuse of your life, because your business is designed to serve you and not the other way around, right? When we start off as entrepreneurs, we're like, I want to live out my purpose. I want to be able to make money for my family. I want freedom, right? That's what we say when we start. And then if you get to the point where the business now becomes everything and you don't have the time and you're not investing in your family and it's literally taking over your life, then what's the point? But then you won't know that if you don't pause. That is so good.
It is. And let me tell you something that happened to me recently. I'm going to be totally real here. So it had been a while since I had my own coach, and a coach, not a specific coach in general, like a business coach or a fitness coach or whatever, but somebody that could just listen, right? And so I was actually looking for somebody to help me with a new program I'm creating. And I wound up having a consult with this coach, and I wound up deciding I would work with him. And I'll tell you what happened. The first month, I thought we were going to be creating a new landing page. I thought we were going to be doing a whole bunch of other stuff, right? I really thought we were going to be doing that. We have not been doing that at all. What we've been doing is figuring out, what does my business look like? What's my why? Why am I doing this? That totally knocked me on my butt. Like I didn't expect that that's what I needed, but it totally speaks to that pause. And that's why I'm just like, really listen, if things feel, maybe it's pause time. Maybe it's just pause time. And for me, it was pause time because I'll tell you what was happening. I was working 16 hours a day and my husband was like, wow, this is a lot.
Like I miss when you did 24-hour call in the NICU, right?
He did. He was like, at least you had days off then. Yeah, it's so true.
That's really good. So take action, and I guess take a lot of action, but then periodically we need to pause and make sure that we're actually still on track and our businesses are serving us rather than us serving our businesses. We're in tune with our why. So we end up with businesses we love because they serve and they earn. They're doing both. We're making impact and we're making money. Yeah, that's so good. I didn't see that coming. Okay. So what's number 3?
Oh, geez. I don't know. The third one's really my favorite. The third one is something that also I've discovered more recently, but it's definitely my pillar now. I'm going to call it pivot because, you pause, you evaluate, you decide what you need to do, and then you have to make a decision. So you have to keep going in the direction that you've been going and decide it's okay, I'm all in, or you got to make a change. So with that being said, there's one more piece that goes with this. That pivot, you almost, as a business owner, for example, I'm a coach, so I am almost, really getting inside the brains of my clients, trying to see, okay, what does this group need? And again, I don't know what they need unless I ask them. And I do ask them. I say, listen, what do you think would be more beneficial, A, B, or C? But within, like, if you already have a business running and you see areas for improvement. So I took a pause. I'm like, listen, I got to pivot because I know how I can reach even more members that are already in the group from what they're telling me. So then you got to go for it, knowing that, okay, listen, change. Nobody loves a change. Nobody really likes that. And change for yourself is tough, but realizing the bigger picture is why the pivot is necessary, because you have to keep your eye on, okay, what is the bigger picture? So for example, I have a membership and we were doing a lot of live workouts, which sounds amazing, right? Wouldn't you think like, oh, wow, and there's live workouts. They're super fun. However, think about doctors and schedules and trying to all meet at that same time, right?
Yeah.
So what was happening is, you had those that could make it all the time, and then you had 75% of the group that could not make it. So that was uncomfortable because I knew how much some people really loved meeting live, but I knew that there was 75% that were feeling like I am a little left out because I can't make it. And so we transitioned to more of an on-demand style. But that was a pivot that needed to happen. Uncomfortable, right? But again, it's going to help, it's going to allow me to be more organized, and it's going to serve a greater good. So I think pivot, and don't be afraid to pivot, and try to pivot, because you can always pivot again.
So you said this, I remembered some documentary. I think it's the Men Who Built America on Netflix. It's a really good documentary. And I watched the story of Vanderbilt, and he was the boss when it came to the shipping industry, and he was doing really well. And then he saw that the railroad was coming up, and the railroad was going to be the next main frontier of transportation. And he had the guts to sell all of his ships. Like I was having palpitations for him, and I'm watching history. He sold every last one of his ships and invested all of that into the railroad industry. And when he did that, it then took me back to something I heard Brian Tracy say years ago. And he said, you always have to know what business you're in, right? So his business for Vanderbilt was transportation, not shipping. So if shipping is no longer the way, if it's no longer serving, if it's no longer fast enough, then you should be able to make that pivot, like you're describing, to the railroad, but you're still in the same business. You're still helping your clients get great results. It's just the method is different. That is so brilliant. I love your top 3 things.
Well, and I love what you just said, because that really made a lot of sense to me, because what you said was know what business you're in. And the business that I'm in is, how can I help busy, overwhelmed women physicians totally take their health to the next level? Well, how am I going to do that if I'm offering a class that's an hour long, that's only at this time? Right. That's not the business I'm in. I'm in the business of, let's make this accessible for everyone. Let's make this realistic, and let's get great results. So I love that analogy. It's perfect.
Yeah, well, it's a great document. I mean, even if you hate capitalism, it's such a great documentary to watch. So many business lessons there. But so you're talking about clients. So let's talk about clients. I want to hear your story. So one of the things that I love about business is the impact, right? That we're able to make. That, I mean, like, to hear people say, I did my first this, I did my first that, I didn't know I could do this, you changed my mindset completely. It's just mind blowing. I love it. That's what I live for, right? So I want to hear some of your stories, or rather, what's your favorite? It's going to be hard, right? It's like,
yeah.
What's your favorite success story?
Oh gosh,
of transformation.
Okay, so that's a very difficult question, because
I know.
Oh man. I mean, do we want to go body? Do we want to go relationships? Do we want to go just overall life change?
Let's do one body, one relationship. How about that?
I love it.
I'm generous.
Okay, cool. Oh, you're so sweet. Let's go with the relationship one first. I have a woman that I'm working with one-on-one right now. I've known her. I met her actually at a conference. So I've known her for a while. And I always admired her. Beautiful, just inside and out. And she reached out to me probably 4 months ago and just said she was struggling with something in her relationship, and that she thought she needed some coaching. But she didn't really know what coaching was. She didn't know like how that could help her. If she was having trouble in her relationship, how was that going to help her relationship? Well, that's my favorite thing, because I'll tell you what, we all know, well, we know, we talk about this, but the relationship with yourself is the most important one. And when you know your value and when you know your worth, that's all you need to know. The rest will evolve. And so we had that kind of relationship as a coach client, where we went so deep into it all because she didn't resist. She just kept going, and it was super uncomfortable. She's like, I never cry. And like every session, we both like, she'd be crying. And I'm like, this is good. This is good. So she basically in tears said to me, I didn't realize I was coming to you to understand what my own worth is. And I know my own worth now through and through. And because of that, she had the most difficult conversation of her life, as she calls it, and thought that it was going to really kind of end her. And it was a tough conversation. She had it. It was a tough couple of weeks waiting kind of for things to evolve. And what happened is she was surprised with the outcome, and it was a favorable outcome.
Yay.
And so it's just knowing her worth is where we had to go, having the guts to have the conversation, and then coming out, she has a different life in 4 months. I mean, this stuff is real.
Different life in 4 months. Do you see why we coach? I mean,
Yeah.
because I mean, it's life changing for the person, but it's life changing that we have the opportunity to help people get that, right?
Oh my
Like
gosh.
it's 4
Yeah.
months and someone looks at you and says, you changed my life. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's why. It's my why. Like it is absolutely my why. And she's one of my clients where we get up super early and coach because it works for her schedule. And I love it because I look forward to it. I can't wait to go to that next level and see what else we can uncover. I want to give a body one because this is really kind of what I love doing. And it's funny because there's that line between, okay, why are we doing body transformations? Okay. And so those who, well, if you don't know me, I'm all about embracing ourselves uniquely. Like, so we are not the same as the person right next to us in a beautiful way. But that's where the work is, discovering who we are and embracing that. And that's where I come from for my transformations. I'm not trying to help people achieve a certain size, a certain weight. I'm helping them achieve what is going to be optimal for them. And so my background is for years, oh my goodness, 15 plus years. I just studied nutrition. I studied exercise. I'm so interested in it. That's my passion and kind of my hobby. So I have a story. I have this woman I'm working with now, and I've known her for a while, and great, sweet, wonderful person. And I was in my membership, a lot of what we focus on is our health, but I did a special 6-week segment where we focused just on really understanding our unique bodies and using a really mindful, intuitive approach to actually make body composition changes. The interesting thing about this client is that she has the most, I don't know, beautiful body, but she's like never known it. And because she just kind of was very musically inclined and did a lot of music, but never really saw what she could do physically. And she has a mesomorph, a really muscular body type, but she's not a tiny girl. So she always thought that if she lifted weights, she would just get bigger. And she didn't want to be bigger. She already felt that she was on the bigger side, whatever, right? So I said, listen, who cares? Because I don't use the scale. I literally use pictures. That's it. I use pictures and I ask the client how they're feeling mentally. And we have a whole goals principle program I use. So she trusted me. She threw away the diet. She threw away the old beliefs, and she started lifting weights, and she started following my program, which is, not that intense, to be quite honest with you, listening to her intuitive side, eating mindfully. In 6 weeks, she completely, like, I am blown away. I've never seen a transformation happen that quickly in my life. She was not trying to get small. She was trying to get strong. Her body, she is lost body fat, she's gained muscle, and she's not afraid of being who she was meant to be. So she's doing the things that her body really likes doing and she was meant to do because she excels at that. And she's totally coming into her own. So she said to me, this is the part I want to bring up. She said, I almost didn't try your coaching program because I didn't really know how it would help me. I mean, it's a membership group program and it wasn't very expensive. So I didn't know that didn't think we'd get so much. And she said, I cannot believe that I almost didn't try it. She's like, my life is completely different in 6 weeks.
So the first one was, my life is completely different in 4 months, and now 6 weeks. the rate at which we're going, everybody who's listening will have their life changed in 30 minutes. This is
Exactly.
good.
Let's do it. But it's just
That is so good. And,
mhm,
this is, maybe I'll pause here and say this to the people who are listening. There are those times when you have opportunities to say yes, to make yourself better, whether that's your body or whether that's your relationship or your business. And sometimes you may not have all the answers and you may not be sure how exactly it'll play out, but you should probably say yes. You know what I
definitely.
mean? Like it's the
Uh-huh.
same thing with the EntreMD Business School. And, people are like, oh, I almost didn't sign up or I did this. But the level of transformation at the time of this recording, today's literally 1 month. Like I was like, oh, yeah, so we're going to do a thing. We're going to celebrate our first month. And on the call, you could see people have this quizzical look like, wait a minute, it's only been 1 month? I'm like, yeah, it's only been 1 month. Guess what will happen in 3? What will happen in 6? What will happen in 18? I mean, we're here.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
so glad she said that.
Yeah. I love that. And I can absolutely see already what happens with your clients because even when I'm interviewing with you on a podcast, because we've done podcasts together, I'm like, wow, my life's changed today. So I can't even imagine what's happening in your business school.
It's so much fun. I mean, what you do for people's bodies is what's happening with people's businesses. It's just fun. So
Oh,
much
I
fun.
love it. It makes me so happy.
So since I have the health coach on, I'm going to pivot a little. You started it. You started talking about pivoting. And so I have a lot of entrepreneurs on here. So they're going to get a free coaching session. They're going to thank you
Love
for
it.
it, right? How about
Love
that?
it.
So one of the things that we could sometimes do is chase down our careers or our businesses at the expense of our health. We don't intend to do it, right? Sometimes it's
Mhm,
just you skip a workout here, you just eat
mhm,
wrong here, you
mhm,
don't sleep enough here, and it adds up, right? So, what are your tips for like the busy entrepreneurs who are listening? What are some of the things they
mhm,
can do to optimize their health so they
mhm.
don't ruin it in the process of trying to build a business?
I really love this question because I could see personally how that could have happened to me if this isn't what I did for a living. Like it could have happened to me and this is what I do every single day. So
Hmm.
if this isn't what you're doing, then believe me, this is the usual. And I have friends who are entrepreneurs and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I have an event coming up and I don't even want to go because I do not feel good about myself." So here's what it is. It's about, first of all, having the honest conversation with yourself. I always say this, I always start here. So, as an entrepreneur, how important is it for you to show up for your health? Because ultimately, you're going to do all these amazing things in your business. And if you want to grow your business and you want to continue to do all these things, and some of them will be uncomfortable, you got to have your own back and you got to have the confidence in yourself that you can do all of these things. Now, I will tell you that if you can have confidence in what your body can do, that is going to help you in the other areas as well. So I am really a stickler for that. Like all the people that are coaches that wind up working with me for their health, I say that. And so here's what it is. It's about having the honest conversation and saying, listen, yes, my health goals are important to me. Okay, where are they going to fit in now? Where do they go? So it's like when you're writing your week out as an entrepreneur, you're writing what you need to do that week. You know, Mondays you do this, Tuesdays you do social media, Wednesday you do your podcast, whatever you do, you need to write in there, okay, what's the baseline minimum amount of exercise I'm going to do for this week? And I usually tell people to start very small. Maybe it's going to be 3 10-minute walks a week. And I literally want you to schedule when those 3 10-minute walks are going to happen. So here's the one thing I want to say to entrepreneurs. If you don't walk and you're a thinker, start walking. Your business will,
Yes.
right?
Explode. Yes.
Your business will explode if you start walking. I kid you not. So if you're saying like, well, I don't have time because my business is so busy and I'm also working full time. I'll tell you what, the best thing you can do for your business is get your sneakers on, your tennis shoes, wherever in the country you are, and go out for a walk. I can't tell you the amount of creative ideas that I come up with when I'm walking. So I think that it's twofold. So yes, your body's going to benefit, your mind is going to benefit, but your business is probably definitely going to benefit as well. So it's all about, you don't need to run a marathon every day to get results. What's the minimum amount you can do but commit that to yourself. I'm telling you, when you're getting asked to go on, these TV shows and you're getting asked to go do a conference, and you're going to be really happy that you committed to feeling good about yourself. Eating. Okay, so let's go to the nutrition piece. So I am of the school, there are no bad foods. I do not restrict foods. I teach people balanced nutrition with an eyeball method. And what I'll say is this, is you don't ever have to think about what you're eating or what you're not eating, but listen to your body. Are you hungry? Yeah, you're hungry. So eat. Are you not hungry? No. Okay, so don't eat. But here's the thing. As entrepreneurs, we get very restless because we want it to happen now. We think we should be farther ahead. We want our businesses to be here. This should have happened. Why aren't we here? How come this person? Let me compare myself a little bit now. Mm-hmm. We get really restless. Well, restlessness is a fast feeling. Restlessness causes urges, and urges make us go to the pantry, grab the chocolate, grab the almonds, grab the chocolate and almonds. That used to be my thing. Go to the fridge, open it up, close it, open it up again, close it.
I have a name for that. It's frigitis. Frigitis.
Yeah.
Obsession.
I love it. Yeah. So it's about committing to that piece and really getting in touch with those feelings that are coming up, those uncomfortable feelings as an entrepreneur, which will come up, which it'd be so easy for us to eat and or drink away. So I think it's being very upfront and honest about, is that coming up for us?
This is brilliant, right? So the first thing is you have a come to Jesus conversation with yourself, right? Like
yes.
Self, what is going on, right? And it's true, because it's kind of like your HPI, right? Where you're like, okay, the truth is I haven't exercised in 3 months. We just have to come to terms with that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that is the starting point, And then the exercise piece, I really love that. And I love walking. So it makes me feel good. Like, oh yeah, what's she saying? I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We won't talk about the eating part, but but the walking, taking some steps and scheduling it, that is so, 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 so powerful. We schedule everything else. Sometimes we feel if we're good, then these things should be spontaneous. And I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm.
So we should be scheduling that. And then the third piece about what we eat, I didn't realize, restlessness was a fast feeling. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is the more mind control you have, the less restless you'll be, and the less frigitis you will have.
Yes.
That is,
yes.
I didn't think that. So, I even have I think I have a thing with the itis thing. I have a podcast episode that was compare-itis, like comparing yourself, because that is such, it triggers such terrible emotions and analysis paralysis. And now I know, bad eating. So you add bad eating with not exercising and not being honest with yourself, and it's a recipe for disaster.
Oh yeah. And as I mentioned, I do this every day and I have been doing this for years, and it comes up for me. I have to deal with that just as everybody else does. I can feel those feelings coming in. I'm like, oh man, I need a little gin and tonic right now, and I'm just like, I got to unwind a little bit. No. And so initially when I started doing a lot of this health work and eating work, I really enjoyed working with people who would consider themselves binge eaters. I would probably say they're more overeaters, not necessarily binge eaters, but the feeling is typically restlessness. And what happens is once we program our brain that we feel restless, that means go to the pantry. That means scan the pantry. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Oh, chocolate. Right. And so what happens is we typically pick a food item that's going to release a lot of serotonin, a lot of dopamine, something that's going to give us a reward pattern. And once we have that reward pattern, you can feel restless at the beach and you're going to think about chocolate. It's it's Skinner box, right? So we can undo that. But how we undo that is we have to recognize the uncomfortable feeling and call it out and be like, that's restlessness right there. Okay, what am I going to do about it? Let me sit with it. Let's see I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to breathe through it. And it sounds really funny, okay, now breathe through that feeling of that urge, but it's that powerful. It can be that powerful where people say that I cannot control my urges, but it's just because we've never practiced allowing the urges.
Wow. Okay. So we got our business fix and our health fix all in one episode. This is so good. So
This is
good.
good.
Yeah. Okay. So what last words would you leave us with? So you're talking to a lot of entrepreneurs. They're driven, they're taking action, they want to make their businesses work and all this stuff. And you are the voice of reason, because a lot of times we're not thinking about our health, which we can get away with now, but maybe not later. And later it will matter more so than the business even, right? So what would your word of caution be? Like, hey, I know you're busy and you're running, but what would that but be?
Yeah, the but would be, you think that working harder is going to get you further along in your business. Use that time to invest in your mind and body. I guarantee you your business will blow your mind.
Awesome. There we go. So work on your mind and your body. Don't neglect those two. That is so good. All right. So where can people find you?
Yeah. So, and this is so funny because I know you have a male audience, but listen, come on over. It's the same stuff, but my website is www.lifecoachingforwomenphysicians.com. Really easy, lifecoachingforwomenphysicians.com. And my podcast is on there. My blog is on there. How to find me is on there. I have a membership program for women physicians where we do all this kind of stuff. You can find it all there. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome. So check out the website. All right. Find her on social media. Give her some love. Take an aha moment you got from the episode, post it, tag her, and say, oh my gosh, right? She changed my life in one episode.
That'll be my next success story.
I know, right? But thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. I'd really love for my audience to have, the whole balance thing, right? Please, we're going to work on businesses. We're going to do all of that stuff. But I also want you to have a body you like at the end of the business, right? The health you deserve at the end of your business. So this is so cool. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
If you love this podcast, please take a moment to subscribe, share, and review it on iTunes. As you go about your week, remember, you're not just an MD, you're an EntreMD. Don't forget to tune in next week for another great episode. Until next time.